Welcome students to Lecture 11 on Sustainability Marketing Transformations. With me here I have Professor Dr. Frank Martin Belt, and he's here to answer questions on the lecture he gave earlier on market transformations. So I wanted to first know about what you mentioned earlier about the importance of achieving sustainability and how one of the influential factors is empowering your employees. You said it's a major step in attaining sustainability. But from what I know that the big companies that are into manufacturing, the ones that probably need the biggest change and that need to attain sustainability fast, have unempowered, semi-skilled labor. How exactly then are these companies supposed to go about attaining sustainability?
Yes, that's an important and a big issue in companies. You have to find ways to integrate, to sensitize, to inform, and to include employees, all employees, on the climb towards Mount Sustainability, as Ray Henderson says. And information is one possibility, and yet special instruments like quality circles to include and ask employees to make suggestions for ecological or social improvements is another, to interact and to include them, or so-called idea competitions where workers, may they be skilled or semi-skilled workers, can make minor or major suggestions for improvements in terms of social or ecological issues. And the best ideas get some kind of monetary reward. So these are certain instruments which work to include and empower employees in large manufacturing companies.
Okay, so from what I gather, you're saying that the whole process does need for empowerment of employees, and if these companies are to achieve this, they have to go through the step of empowering their employees and cannot attain sustainability without that empowerment implemented.
Yes, that's true. Otherwise, it's you don't walk the talk. You just have a written statement and maybe a vision and a CEO and some senior members, but it's not trickling down to the entire corporation.
Okay. All right, and then moving on to my second question, I wanted to know who offsets the process of sustainability marketing transformation, because you mentioned that several groups are involved and need to transform, for example, the political and the social one. So I wanted to know, will marketers have to wait upon these groups to change first, the political group and the social group to transform first, or marketers on their own are actually capable of bringing upon transformation without maybe these two having done that first?
Yes. I think critical stakeholders, non-governmental organizations are important to push companies to move forward towards sustainability. Otherwise, the majority of companies don't see the need to make any changes within and without the company. So I think these critical stakeholders are definitely very, very important to push the agenda. And yet, I think there are some companies, sustainability pioneers or leaders or trailblazers, however you call them, sustainability innovators, which see the need for themselves to make changes and to push the agenda. So a minority of companies make changes within the industry and beyond that as well. But for the majority of companies, I think it holds true that they need a kick in the ass, that they have to be pushed forwards on the sustainability agenda. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Okay, and I will shift your attention now to a term you also introduced, choice editing. And you mentioned that choice editing involves limiting the customer's choice. And I was wondering, you know, does that not go against some form of rights that the customer has if they have their choices limited?
Yes, that's a good question, and something we discussed in lecture 5 when we talked about the freedom of choice and the sanctity of markets. But we also mentioned that consumers have rights, but they also have responsibilities. And so the question is, who's making this decision and who's taking these responsibilities? And we know from empirical studies that a lot of consumers do not mind retailers or manufacturing companies making decisions for them and take the responsibility for them, to make a choice for them, so to say. Because consumers in everyday situations, in their everyday life, they hardly have the time to acquire all the information about the product, the real world behind the product. It's very complex and complicated. It takes a lot of time. So they just ask the retailer, well, give me a sustainable choice and I take it, I buy it, you know. So please make the decision for me. And that's what choice editing is all about. So I think there is a good argument for choice editing, and actually what market studies show that many consumers go along with it. So yes, it is a freedom of choice, but a good one.
Okay, and do you think that this approach is sustainable? I mean, because would you think that the customers will continually be happy having that decision made for them? Or maybe we should move towards a more educative approach, maybe educate the younger consumers to make these informed decisions in the future and not really have to depend on the marketers to always have that choice in their hand.
I think it will always be difficult, despite a lot of information and education in environmental and social terms. Even for experts, it is sometimes difficult to say whether one product is better than the other in environmental terms. Think about electric cars, which are the big buzz nowadays in the market. And a lot of consumers just presume that electric cars are better than ICEs, internal combustion engines, conventional cars. But we know from life cycle analysis that it's not necessarily the case. If you take conventional power, if you take ecological renewable energies to charge the electric cars, it makes a great difference. So there are many consumer decisions to make, and the consumer just doesn't have the time to dive into the complexities of sustainability issues in each product category. So I think it's an imminent problem, and sometimes it just makes sense that companies or decision makers who have the information and understand the complexities make decisions for others which are less informed and who don't care about making these difficult decisions.
Okay. And now I will refer to a video that you showed in your lecture where you showed a young rapper who was advertising and singing about, I think, sustainability and about biodiversity. And in the end, I was personally surprised to see that this is actually a commercial by Corb, which is one of the biggest retail companies in Switzerland. So I mean, I was wondering what has become of the role of organizations in sensitizing the market on sustainability issues.
Yes, that's a very interesting example, I think. Usually in my class I show the video and I stop after 25 seconds and I ask them, who do you think, who is the sender? And 90% would say it's an NGO, a non-governmental organization like WWF. And then I show them the last 5 seconds and they are surprised to learn that it's actually a commercial company like a cooperative. So that's very interesting. And it's a new phenomena that for-profit companies actually start sensitizing the public for such issues. But it's also part of their holistic sustainability marketing approach. And I think sustainability marketing or leaders and these companies, they have two main tasks. The first one is, and that's something we covered and emphasized in the lecture, is to develop and market new sustainable products successfully in the market. And the second one is marketing for sustainability. That is to sensitize consumers for these issues, for social and ecological issues, and also to induce changes in consumer behavior. So that might be their secondary task of good sustainability marketers, especially the ones who have already advanced and moved forward.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that this is a huge step, having organizations, corporate organizations, advertising for sustainability issues themselves. It's definitely a huge step into attaining sustainability. And finally, in your opinion, I have to ask this, how do you perceive the future of sustainability marketing? Will it save the world? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think sustainability marketing has a great future. For the simple reason that sustainability issues will become more important. We have to do something about it. It will pressure us. So I'm very optimistic about the future of sustainability marketing, and I hope that in the future all marketing students will learn about the how to integrate social and ecological issues into their decisions. And I also hope that all marketing decision makers include social and ecological issues. So I see a bright future for sustainability marketing itself. The question is, will it save the earth? I don't think so. Not necessarily. It will be an important step. It will be an important element, but we need a lot of changes. And as pointed out in lecture 3, I think, when we discussed the iPad formula, sustainability marketing is mainly focused on new technologies, sustainable products and services. It's also talking about affluence and consumer behavior. But I think two important aspects in the future are to tackle the issue of world population growth. We have to stop the growth. And in addition to that, we also have to discuss issues of sufficiency. That is to say, how much is enough. And and that regards economic growth, but also our personal life and our consumption. So I think sustainable consumption and world population growth are very important too. So sustainability marketing is just a puzzle in a a piece in a big puzzle.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor. I've definitely benefited from this question and answer segment. And I hope the same goes for you, that your understanding has been enhanced as much as mine has. Thank you very much for joining us, and bye for now.
Thank you, students, and bye for now.